Ruth Winifred Howard Beckham, born 1900, died 1997. African-American psychologist. Ruth Winifred Howard Beckham was the first black woman in the United States to receive a Ph.D. in psychology. Beckham was born in Washington, D.C. on March 25, 1900. She was the eighth and youngest child of the Reverend and Mrs. William James Howard. Her mother was a school teacher before she married, and her father was pastor of the Zion Baptist Church in Washington. Because her siblings were all older, some were educated professionals, Beckham had no one to play with. However, she was surrounded in her youth with plenty of reading material, and so she started reading voraciously at an early age. She loved reading and libraries so much that her first thought of an occupation was to be a librarian. In 1916, she graduated from Dunbar High School and then moved north to major in social work at Simmons College in Boston, Massachusetts, where she received her bachelor's degree in 1921. After graduation, Beckham moved west to Cleveland, Ohio, where she was a social worker. In 1927, she received her master's degree from Simmons College. From 1929 to 1930, Beckham attended the Teachers College and School of Social Work at Columbia University on a Laura Spelman Rockefeller Fellowship. In 1930, after receiving another Rockefeller Fellowship, she moved west to Minneapolis, Minnesota, where she studied child psychology at the Child Development Institute at the University of Minnesota from 1930 to 1934. In 1934, the University of Minnesota awarded Beckham a Ph.D. in psychology and child development. Her doctoral dissertation was titled, "A Study of the Development of Triplets." One important conclusion of Howard's research was that preschool and school-aged triplets did not perform as well on tests of general ability as single children in their age group. After receiving her doctorate, Beckham moved to Illinois, where she first had a clinical internship at the Illinois Institute of Juvenile Research. Later, she established a private practice as a clinical psychologist. In 1934, she also married Dr. Albert Sidney Beckham, a distinguished psychologist in his own right. Her long subsequent career was a series of important positions as a teacher, consultant, clinical practitioner of psychology, and manager of psychological healthcare services. Like other healthcare professionals, Howard held several positions concurrently. She was co-director with her husband of the Center for Psychological Services from 1940 to 1964. During the same period, she was the staff psychologist for the Providence Hospital School of Nursing in Chicago, and she was a psychological consultant at schools of nursing in Missouri and Florida. She also lectured, provided psychology clinics, and consulted for various organizations. After her husband died in 1964, she continued to work in private practice and as a consultant. She worked as a psychologist for the McKinley Center for Retarded Children from 1964 to 1966. She was a staff psychologist for Worthington and Hearst Psychological Consultants from 1966 to 1968, and she was a psychologist for the Mental Health Division of the Chicago Board of Health from 1968 to 1972. Citations and sources for this audio are in the description.